Whenever you are making a game, it's often a common place to get stuck on how you're going to define the specs for your project. Should it be based on your PC you're currently developing the project? Should you follow the performance of another game that is similar to yours? There's a way you can define strategically the specs you want or will need for the project. I'm also going to share the full specs for my PC and how they affected my development of the current project which I'm working on, which is the RTS game I'm building inside of Godot. If you ever got curious based on the performance issues I have raised with a bunch of videos regarding optimizations, it might be nice to know my specs from my setup to understand where I am coming from. This topic is very important because when you finish your game, you want everyone to be able to play it. Some games can be made with high-end PCs with the latest GPUs and CPUs, but that will never run on simple computers, and upgrading it might be the only way to run them, and sometimes just to be able to open and execute them. Not even having a good performance to enjoy while playing the game, which is not good after all. And by the way, promise me you won't be laughing at my PC specs once you see the setup I'm using. Anyway, let's start by getting some things straight. So when we mention performance in this video, we are concerned on the final experience for our user. The smooth experience during gameplay, we can play your game without any lags or frame hogging. We can measure this experience performer by the frames per second of your game. Having a constant high frame rate is very important for people to enjoy your games. This depends on the art style of your game, as some games can get away with a lower or need a higher FPS. But for a 3D game, I generally tend to believe that 60 frames per second is the bare minimum for most games. While some fast-paced games, they can be generally better to go up to 144 FPS or even more. This all depends on the project you are making and how many FPS you want your game to have. Hardware requirements to your game are defined mainly first by the game engine you chose, and how you will build your game project inside with it after. Some game engines might have more performance in some areas and others can be lacking performance in other areas. That doesn't mean it's impossible to squeeze extra performance in a slower game engine, or that by using a lighter game engine it guarantees a good performance for your project. There are many ways you can impact the performance of your project, but these are the two main ones that will affect your project within any game engine, which are the visual side of things and the code side of things on your game. So the game code is generally easier to optimize because you can always find a better and lighter way to do the same things faster than you previously thought. And those optimizations usually don't require a lot of time to do once you figure out where are the bottlenecks inside your code. So generally speaking, you shouldn't have to worry about your game logic code affecting the performance before you actually start to have any actual performance problems. So code your game to make it work first, then work on execution performance later. So it's generally a good idea to make a prototype with all the things and systems you want, so you can finish your game later and probably optimize if you run into any issues later. For instance, in Godot scripting language, GDScript, it's a common practice to avoid using the while loops, because for loops are faster. This is something you can easily swap anytime you want, and you just have to change how your code behaves within its logic to be able to swap the while loops for a for loops. Now, let's talk about visual performance, which is affected by things that are a little more difficult to change. So game engines usually come with some kind of graphic rendering capability outside of the box. That takes a lot of code to be established and maintained, and changing how a game engine renders things is usually not as easy as changing how your code is being executed for your game logic. Sometimes they might become even impossible to change without some bigger changes for your game engine core. This is the responsibility of the game engine you picked. The same 3D scene from, let's say you exported from Blender, can have completely different performance on different game engines. So before using a game engine, make sure it can support the graphic art style you want inside your game. Now, talking about game assets, they are not so easy to make, and there's a limit on how much you can change an asset after it has been finished. Depending on the changes you want, sometimes you have to recreate the entire game asset from a given point, if not from scratch entirely. With code, you can always change and modify anything you want. It's right there written on the screen and you can fiddle with it anytime you want. That's not the case with game assets. They have a structure to be built, and once they are finished, you usually don't go about changing any part of it because they are not built with some modular workflow. So some types of assets can be in a modular way, so you can swap things as you want, like materials, some models. But usually with most game assets, they are usually built from start to finish with a series of destructive workflow steps that you're going to follow. And if at any moment you want to change them, it's going to bring a lot of problems. So usually you have an idea and you execute it within a game asset. Some game engines offer some options you can tweak. Here in Godot, we can have a couple of special effects we can apply to the environment for our game. And some of those effects can be quite expensive at the trade-off for the effect you're going to be applying. Here you can see how the FPS reacts with some of those effects. For instance, the global illumination, which makes your game look astonishingly beautiful, but it has a heavy impact on FPS. Also, some other stuff like ambient occlusion and anti-aliasing can make your game look a lot more realistic and nicer, but keep in mind this can affect FPS heavily, so use those effects wisely. Okay, so you can define the performance of a game with visuals, code, and a game engine. Cool. But still, how you as a developer actually define the specs for it? So the computer you're using can be a basis for that. So you're going to develop your game, and that type of system you're using to develop the game can be used as the minimum or recommended setup to play your game. Just don't expect everyone to have the same luck as you and have a GeForce RTX 4090 GPU and AMD Ryzen 9 or even an Intel Core i9. Having a high-end PC to develop your game can be a good thing because you have a lot of resources to build your game. But it can also be a big curse because you have no idea how it's going to run on simple computers. Ever saw those Cyberpunk reviews when it got released? Yeah, that kind of thing. That game had some serious performance issues to say the least. This, of course, can be very easily tested when running your test releases on older computers or simple setups before you officially release it online. But in my opinion, this highlights the main advantage of developing a game in a lower-end PC. You have the performance of your crappy developer PC to be the bare minimum or the recommended specs for your game. And as your game starts to get bigger and gets more bloated with features, more assets and stuff, you always will do anything possible to keep it running smoothly. So if you have a crap PC, anyone with a better one will have consequentially a much more smoother gaming playing experience automatically. So out of the box, if you make a game with a lower end PC, anyone with something better than yours is going to have a lot more smooth experience. Here you can also use some statistic data to support a decision with how you are targeting the hardware requirements for your game. So Steam offers some data that we can use. They have some hardware surveys for the most common systems present with its service. And we can see here in February for a computer hardware and software survey in 2024 that most gamers on Steam are Windows 10 64 bits with 60 gigabytes of RAM, having processor mostly around 2.3 GHz to 2.69 with 6 CPUs, running an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3060, and with a main monitor of Full HD resolution. And you can also click on these statistics to get more information from Steam as well, like other similar components and stuff. So this type of information can help you in targeting the game hardware requirements you want. And yes, the ones you want, because you have to keep an eye out for your game performance as it gets completed. If it's running at 48 FPS and you have an RTX 3060, don't expect people to not have issues with performance with having slower GPUs for your game. That being said, I think it's time to review you the specs of my PC. If you're following my tutorials for making the RTS, this is the main PC I developed those videos in. This is also the same PC that I render all the YouTube videos you see and basically do everything else. I just want you to realize that having a crap PC doesn't limit your power as a game developer as you may think. And I'll start from better to worse specs so you can follow me right here. So my OS is Windows 10 64 bits. My GPU is a GeForce GTX 1050 Ti, which has a VRAM of 4 GB with a memory type of GDDR5. My main monitor is a Samsung SyncMaster 2270H Plus, Full HD resolution 32 bits and 60 Hz. I have 16 GB of memory DDR3 with a clock frequency of 1323. My storage is an HDD, a Seagate Barracuda of 1 TB. My motherboard is a H55H M2 from ACS Elite Group. And my processor is a LG 1156 Intel Core i5 650, 2 cores, 4 threads, base frequency of 3.2 GHz up to 3.46 GHz. Yes, I know, let me explain some things that you might not have realized about my specs, in case if you're not a computer nerd like me. My GPU was released on May 27, 2016, getting a little bit older now, but it works for most medium-end and indie games smoothly. AAA games, on the other hand, I can run smoothly at Full HD resolution only at minimum settings. So I always switch back all the graphics settings to minimum if I want to play with 60 FPS or around that range. That GPU lets me work on Blender, GIMP, Godot, and edit videos on Kdenlive. So far, it has met my needs for the things that I want. Nobody needs a better GPU, right? My memory is 16 GB, and here the amount of RAM is okay for my needs. It's a little outdated, but it's okay for most cases. Here what hurts me is then being DDR3 with a clock frequency of 1323 MHz. It's a bit to be desired about their speed, but hey, I edit videos and make 3D assets with them, so good for me. At least I can download more memory whenever I need it online. I'm joking, of course, don't do that. Yes, I'm still using an HDD as my main storage hardware. Never used an SSD, but I heard they are a bit faster. Are they? I don't know, never had one. My motherboard is an H55HM2 from ACS Elite Group. You probably never heard about this one because they are pretty old, which supports only up to 16 GB of memory, something I learned after having bought a 8 GB memory stick and had it to return for a 4 GB one. That being said, it's the mother of all my PC components, and it has been running smoothly for quite some time, so thank you for keeping them healthy at least. And what else there is to show? Oh yeah, my processor. I don't know if you picked up on that. Yeah. It's an i5, alright, so it's an Intel Core i5, but its number is 650? What does that mean? It means it's not even the first generation, it's before that. So the brains of my computer were released in 2010. Think about that. It makes my processor 14 years today. So my processor is one of the first ones of i5. Believe me when I tell you that my PC is a little old. So, all I'm telling you guys is I am developing a 3D RTS project in Godot 4.x as it updates, using this type of setup. If you ever got worried about the performance of Godot because of my videos, know that with a better setup, the performance on Godot will be much better. So take the performance from my setup with a grain of salt, because your setup might be much better, in which case if you ever play the game I made, you're going to have a much better time playing it, with a much more better performance than what I have on my own computer. So if you have a crappier PC setup than mine, which isn't the end of the world, work with the resources you have, and hopefully in the future you will be able to upgrade your setup and start to make the games you want. Remember that games made in crappy PCs are going to run much more smoothly when they play with better setups. So that's a big advantage for you as an indie developer. You're going to have more performance because you actually made the game on your crappy basement computer. Yay! So if you have any excuses to not be making the games you want, just take a look at my setup and consider it again. I'm doing it, so you can do it as well. That's all I have for you guys with this video. My name is Philip, and I'll see you on the next one.